All right, we're on to our public session. First item on tonight's agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance.
Are you all set, Kate?
Sorry, Kate. Yeah. Tom, will you lead us in that? You show up to the meeting, you gotta participate. Yeah.
Yeah, pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item is the meeting minutes, non-public and public meeting minutes of March 2nd.
Go for it, Anita.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to find a good
Oh.
Here,
I make a
can you
motion
read
to
it from
accept.
there?
No.
Okay.
I'd make a motion to accept the non-public and public meeting minutes of March
Sorry.
2nd, 2023.
second.
Oh, no, no, meeting.
You told
No,
Any questions, comments on the
He said it
meeting,
was us.
meeting minutes?
No.
Last chance to get our names.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, I have 5-0. Oops, where'd you go?
I'm sorry, Les, was that, who seconded?
Anita,
Thank you.
I made the
Yeah,
motion.
really.
I made the motion, Anita second.
Thank you, sorry about that.
Okay, consent agenda.
Do you need to seal the non-public minutes earlier?
I don't think so.
Was there anything?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda for March 16th, 2023. Accounts payable payment manifest dated 3/9/23. Payroll payment manifest dated 3/16/23. Distribution of funds from the Building Maintenance Fund in the amount of $4,323. Distribution of funds from the Fire Department Equipment Reserve in the amount of $3,969.01. Transfer of funds from the EMS fundraiser account to the town general fund in the amount of $120. Current use application for map lot number 219-039. Veteran credit for map lot number 222-029 in the amount of $500. Letter of commitment for the 2023 Household Hazard Product Collection Program.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Dawn. Any questions, any individual items anybody would like to discuss? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, 5-0.
I'll send that around.
Acceptance of 2023 Asset Management Grant in the amount of $100,000.
We're actually gonna pull that one.
Okay.
DES will get back to us again, but they're not ready for us to accept
Okay.
it.
Central Street Pump Station Extension Request.
So obviously the Central Street Pump Station has been delayed a little bit. So they're asking that we submit a extension request because we're not gonna have the project done by the end of the time frame that we were originally approved to have it done. I think it says June. Nothing wants to open tonight up here.
Is this, what number?
It's 6 SB,
Time
Bristol
extension.
time extension. The one that was in your packets, and I think I corrected it, had the wrong information on it, had the wrong town administrator. We've had her correct that since, but this needs to be voted on, approved to sign for me. And the extension would put it to, I think it's just asking for the extension. I don't think it has a specific date, but the intent is to get the project done this year.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So we would need a motion
I'll make
to,
a
go ahead.
motion for the town administrator to sign on behalf of the select board for the extension on the grant for the Bristol Central Street sewer pump improvements.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Anita. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, that is 5-0.
So now you can get blamed.
Tell us about the environmental review checklist
So, the environmental review is required.
for this project we
for-
just.
Yeah, for this project.
Yeah.
If you'd like, you could certainly read in your packets. Number 7 SB1 is the shortened version. 7 SB2 in your packets is the full 97-page report, and you're welcome to take a look at it. But they need it voted on to have the chair sign this document tonight.
We just need to approve it.
Just need to approve it, yep. It's a requirement that it be done, and we just need to approve it and have Sean, let me get to the bottom, yep, Sean sign it. They, so when they first sent it to us, it said Wayne Anderson. I'm like, holy cow, they haven't done stuff for us for a while. So, we had it updated before we got it to you.
I was just reading down through the.
Yeah, me too. So I'm on to socioeconomic. Some temporary jobs may result from the project's activities. No significant demographic character changes.
Fancy.
Yeah. That would be a solid waste section myself. No impact.
Okay. Okay, so
I'll make a motion to.
Healthcare,
Oh,
so, sorry,
go ahead.
healthcare and social services present in the project area may be positively improved.
I guess if they have good water and sewer supply, I guess that, yeah.
Okay.
Long-eared bat.
Oh, yeah, that's with everything.
Monarch butterfly.
The long-eared bat's always listed around here. 'cause
Yeah.
it's
Well,
easy.
long-eared bat just made the federal endangered list, so
Yeah.
What's the George Duncan State Forest?
that's out on Carter Mountain Road. in
Oh,
New
okay.
Hampton. What's that got to do with,
It's in there under Parks, Open Space and Recreation.
oh, that's weird. But not the Sugar Hill State
Yeah.
Forest, which is a half a mile away.
Yeah. Strange. So I'll
Is
make,
there something protected more maybe in that one?
No.
So it doesn't make sense.
Where'd you
then.
see that?
It's under the,
Oh, I see it.
community
I see it.
facilities, parks, open
Yep.
space.
sit downstream.
No.
No?
Well, I don't know, technically, it's about 1,000 feet higher in elevation, but
Yeah.
about maybe 700 feet.
And the William H. Thomas State Forest.
Yeah, they might need to fix that.
William H. Thomas State Forest is out on Borough Road.
Okay.
Subject property is located in a small town generally surrounded by open forested areas, but they're not in Bristol.
It's fine. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
No.
It's a generic description of the
Yeah.
area.
Yeah,
Right. So I'll make a motion to accept the environmental review checklist for the chairman of the board to sign.
can you pass that?
Correction, the William Thomas State Forest is the one out on
Right.
3A Hill. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, we have
Need a
a,
second.
yeah,
I'm waiting.
motion by John, seconded by Anita. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, abstentions. The ayes have it. ARPA funds.
I don't have anything in the doc, you didn't send anything I missed, did you?
I don't think so.
Okay, good. I can tell you the amounts if you want me to do that then.
So, what we're talking about is, we still have some ARPA funds on our books, correct?
So we still have about, and I deducted something, because we still owe 50% of the Affinity LED once the project's complete. So I deducted that, but so after that is paid, we have $263,039.16. Obviously, it's not enough to do both things that we really want to accomplish, but I'll turn it over to Ben.
Yeah, so there's that money sitting there. There's no real clear definition, not definition, but there's no real clear direction on, the town doesn't have a plan for it, right? So obviously we know there's the cuts that have been made to the building project. There's specifically the two big items that we would like to see back in, which is the radiant floor heating and a big one being the upper parking lot, and really being able to use that meeting space and have even just room for daily operations beyond what you need for employee parking. So it took a while because Treasury's really busy apparently, but we were able to get some help from Congresswoman Custer's office and get connected with Treasury. I had sent them a list, not the entire cut and V list, but really the parking lot and some of the other items that might be, good to get back in, because we'll need them. It's just, how do we fund them? And basically, the answer was everything fits into general government spending. We accept the rest of the revenue as the standard amount revenue loss, in which it's just, you don't have to do all the calculations. You can just say up to 10 million bucks or limited by what you have for funds. You take as a standard loss, and then provided it's not supplanting other funds or it's not, anything that's discouraged by federal law or whatever, then you can spend the money on it. So there was a webinar today that I missed because we were crazy busy, but I'm sure Bob attended it. So that'll finalize exactly how we elect that standard deduction or standard amount. So basically, we can use all those funds. I would hope that the board would consider using all of them. The ask tonight is to approve that $201,250, I think it is, so that we can start working on that paperwork and make sure that contract language gets added into the contract without having to, wait until, potentially the second meeting in April and then finally get the contract ironed out. It keeps us on that by the start of May deadline that we kind of got to add it back in. So that's tonight's request. My plan is to, at some point in April, come with a little bit more of a punch list to get some of the other stuff back in. I'm just waiting for Druid to get me some numbers, right? Because just an example, we don't necessarily need to spend $24,000 on the parking lot lighting. But getting some of that money back in to be able to even just put the conduit in the ground, so if we ever did it, or put a lighted flagpole out front or whatever, and so they're working on that. A few other things. We took out the mezzanine, took out the host tower, then we took out the mezzanine. There was something else in there, similar topic. It would have been, say $10,000 to add all that stuff back in. But give me a number to make sure it's all ledgered and a couple of windows that won't go in initially, get those framed in and then cover them. And then if we can ever find the money to do it, then we can add it back in without the huge expense. So
my desire would be for the largest of the infrastructure in the rear of the building. For that
yeah, absolutely. I think that's the best way to spend it. Again, looking at it, you can really only afford one of the two big ticket numbers.
Yeah.
The building, if the radiant heating doesn't pass, will have what was probably less efficient, but will have heat in it.
Right.
Boy, those 18 parking spots are going to be huge. The other side of it is, and we've had this discussion, it's kind of going around in circles because we've just been waiting to find the money. If we can't initially build that parking lot, we really got to set up between the generator, the propane service, and so on and so forth. It all looks different, but then you're trying to wedge it into spots that don't make, because you might build it at some point. You can't just throw it here because you want to drive there at some point in the future, but you can't put it back where you want to put it because there's no access for a propane truck or the electrical company. So yeah, if we could get this approved tonight again, then it gives us a couple weeks. We're meeting with them next week, post-town meeting, and we'll be able to kind of iron out everything that we are assured of at the same time.
And even like what we presented at site plan, some of the things like even snow storage, if you don't put that parking
Right.
lot in, there's no place to put the snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so it's not just parking, it's a lot of other aspects in it, so.
Carol?
Wait, who are you looking for?
Do we need to prove that in some way before I add? I was just gonna say what I told you guys at elections, that Grafton County has 2.5 million left over in ARPA funds. And they're trying to redo the water, they're trying to get out Woodsville Power and Light to save money and have their own well, and have their own septic system instead of, but that's kinda iffy getting out of the contract with them.
Yeah.
So it might be, and Ned said, well, the Grafton County Commissioners tend to ignore this part of the county, which is probably accurate. But because it's more of a regional, we have a regional ambulance that might have more sway in asking for whatever's left.
Yep.
I could
Yeah.
contact the Grafton County Commissioners, but I can start with Omer anyway and see if it's even a possibility.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see why not. Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, and I do think just on that subject, we could get that, this would allow us, I look at this like I look at the radiant floor heating. And it's the same to me, because if you say tonight, yes, you have authorization to spend that, use those funds to get that, then we know we can get it put into the contract.
Yeah.
If we can figure out a way to fund it through a mechanism like that, well then great, and those ARPA funds are still there, and we can come up with
I'm
some
thinking
other.
about the rest of it.
But the radiant heating, and I believe the warrant article was written that way, right? Which was N2, or if we can't get grant funds. To me, get it approved. If you believe, your voting hand that day believes that this is a worthy expense of the money, but we can get it in time to maybe find a short window option like that. But we don't know, and obviously we can't then say, oh, well, we explored all the grant options, that didn't work, it's now March of '24, and we'd love to still put the radiant heating in, but now we can't because the slab's poured and cured and whatnot.
So would you like to talk to them? I can set it up, or we can get together.
Yeah,
and set up a meeting.
that would be
sooner rather
great.
than later, or a phone call.
And I'm still looking into some other grant options, I just don't think that they're gonna fall in place in time, particularly for these two items, There's a couple of other things out there that we'll keep exploring, but
Yeah, but some
this
of the items
gets
on the list you
us
could
gets
do
us
is-
solid, knowing we can get those two things hopefully back into the project. And
So if I was gonna send an email tomorrow and I said, we're looking for about this much, what would that number be?
581,000.
I mean, that's the overall number,
Well, you're looking, but yeah,
but I don't think that's the number. I think it's,
well, wouldn't it be smarter to use our money and then supplement it with this other? Or
Yes.
am I dreaming something?
No,
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah, we have our money, we may as well use it.
So,
I would think realistically, if we also were looking to try to, because let's face it, the only way that the radiant floor thing works is if the article passes, because if it doesn't, they said don't put radiant flooring in. There's that whole dilemma. Right?
No means
So,
no.
but if it passes, right, to me, it's a number around 200,000. We have ARPA funds. It'd be nice to also fund that 100,000 there. So to me, we're looking for about maybe $250,000
okay,
to
let's
fund the
pause
rest
for
of those
starting
cuts.
If
conversation.
you take what the total cuts and subtract the ARPA funds, it's 317,000, but.
Yeah, but I don't like
some
that
of your
number
stuff-
because some of it makes sense. The
Right.
plywood holding cells versus putting footings in, like that's a $15,000 expense. That's to me nonsensical.
So 250.
Yeah, there's a couple other ones in there. Changing the doors, they're
Right.
actually better. So yeah, some of those are better. We'll just keep them.
Okay,
So I'll make a motion for give authorization to the fire chief to move forward on using the ARPA funds towards the checklist for the public safety building. Checklist items that we would like to fund. Is that
Second.
enough?
They combine either, I think so. We got the gist of it.
Basically, yeah, go ahead and do what you just said.
Any other discussion, questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed? Abstentions, that is 5-0. Great.
We're on record for using the ARPA funds for that.
You can stay
Yeah.
there then.
So, there's no way to amend that Article 17 so that if it got voted down, we could still go looking for funds?
The problem isn't the matter of looking for funds, the problem is we're up against it on whether we can do it or
Deadline.
not, time-wise.
Right.
They need to know
Yeah, we had
as
to
soon
have
as
it
possible.
March, I think it was April or May, or less than that.
Yeah,
I think it's May for that.
Yeah.
But it, May, June, best case scenario based on the AOT stuff, that will probably delay it a little bit, but it's only 2 or 3 months. And
yeah. And if, I would rather spend, I'm sorry, chief, but I would rather spend $200,000 for the back access and parking
Yes.
than, if we had to choose, than $100,000.
I agree. I really do. Like I said, the building will still be heated. It will,
Yeah.
and I don't think, I think it'll be a savings, but
Yeah.
that parking area is gonna be huge functionality wise, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, the radiant heat it would be nice to have, now that we really could use it.
Yeah, it starts to tip the scales, and that's why I think it'd be
Yeah.
nice to find the money for it, either this way or that way, or some other way, but
Okay.
yeah, I would agree. If we can only do one, that's really the one that needs to be done.
Do you have the number of the difference between radiant floor heat cost and the whatever else is put in it, basically?
No, if we had that, that's the discussion earlier, if we had that, we'd be
Yeah.
able to tell you what the buyback, what the payback was. over
I can't,
time.
and nobody has it, which is weird to me.
Yeah.
It's probably hard to find an apples to apples comparison.
Well, no,
A similar building that has and doesn't have, I mean, it's.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's all the different heat plants and I don't know,
Exactly.
I thought I would still find something like a solar fed one will save you this much, and I don't know, it's just,
Yeah,
No, I wasn't talking about savings, I was talking about the cost, what's it gonna cost to put the other heat in instead of the flooring?
Oh, for that equipment.
Remember, there's no change.
oh, I don't know.
There's no change in, the radiant flooring, I mean, it's the same. Are you talking about,
So without the radiant flooring, the
You're still
building,
heating the
the
building.
bays are already heated?
yeah,
Yes.
You'll have to put.
So they came up with a
You'll have to put
plan
more.
when they made the reduction, which obviously you can make a big reduction. It's a far more significant insulation underneath the slab, right? That's
Yeah.
$27,000 of it because it's 7,000 square feet of slab that you're insulating. So, and then obviously labor to install that, and then the piping in and of itself. And quite honestly, I saw the breakdown at one point, and like the labor side of it was significantly less than I thought it would be. Most of that $80,000 is in piping.
Yeah.
And it's really, to lay up, to put that pipe in the ground, and the labor is technically more. The difference is that they're gonna then take out those extra ceiling units, save that $20,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
But I don't remember exactly what the cost
Yeah,
is.
the 107 is additional, if you don't, they've heat figured in.
Yeah, they're
So
still
if you
gonna
wanna
put the
heat
same
this way, it would
boiler
be this
in.
much more.
Yeah,
The number you might spend, you'll save 20,000 on this kind of unit and use it for that kind of unit to heat the radiant.
Call me crazy, but then aren't you putting in two heating systems that you don't?
well, you would potentially in a space like that anyways, because
Yeah.
other-
Here, the
because
difference-
otherwise you have such a huge turnaround,
Okay, so there's no.
So-
there's
so
no
the
gain.
difference is-
It's no
Yeah.
gain.
Yeah, we're putting in a $5,000 oil burner versus an $8,000 gas unit.
Okay.
So, and the 107,000 is the same as that 3,000 extra for the gas. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next item is just a brief discussion on the building, the fire department building itself. You know, just for public, I guess, knowledge, there has been some discussion on although no decisions on what to do with the fire department building. Some people have expressed interest in it. We have not made any decision at all, but we are researching if we were to sell, what that would look like and how that would be achieved, what process. But at this time, there has been no decision made. That'll be a decision for the next board.
Yeah.
Of which you're part of.
For the moment. Yes.
If the planets stay aligned.
So if there's any questions or comments, you know, people are certainly willing or able to, you know, we've heard recommendations from various people, but like I said, the board has not made a decision, and frankly, it's just been talking very generalities, in very general terms about it. So.
And we're gonna do our due diligence and start doing market analysis
Yep.
information.
Yep.
And go from here.
Which would be interesting to see how well our assessing did.
Yes, that's true.
TA report.
Well, I'm just gonna jump to, since Ben's here,
Yep.
I'll put it in here. Yeah, the first bullet is actually the first one, sorry. Building, public safety building, the Public Safety Building Committee met with the Energy Committee Chair on March 9th. In your packets under TA-2 is a response from the Public Safety Building Committee regarding that meeting and the request. And Ben wrote that on behalf of the public safety, so I figured he could answer any of your questions. And then my question is, what are our next steps, or are there any?
In my opinion, I think the plan is to continue as we started to implement in terms of building and heating that building conventionally.
It's really too late to switch
Yeah.
right now, so anything, so.
Plus, the cost is gonna be much higher, the operating cost with the electric rates is gonna be higher. I think it would be fiscally irresponsible for the town to do something like that.
Not only that, but it's our emergency command center. We have to make sure that it has power and heat at all times.
Well, there's another thing, the size generator you will need is a backup generator if you're gonna heat the entire
Yeah.
place.
It would be enormous.
Is massive,
Right.
probably an 80.
Well, it's already gonna be massive, just for the general rate, because they over
Right.
calculated and whatnot. But
A pair of 80
Yeah.
kW.
yeah. Well, and then the hope, and I just share those thoughts, is to add battery, and I go back to a couple of things. The first is that, you know, it wasn't, you're talking 2 or 3 years ago that we were talking about the water and sewer project, and we couldn't add batteries then because the technology's not there. Now, I know 2 or 3 years is a long time,
Yeah.
but I just haven't seen it. And quite honestly, I deal with all the solar inspections in town and whatnot, but outside of that, what I deal with is when those battery systems catch on fire. And that's becoming more and more of a common thing. You know, I'm not saying it's some big, you know, pandemic level issue, but that is an issue. And the stuff that is maybe there technology wise is just through the roof price wise. That's what we're seeing come through with $30,000 and $40,000 and $50,000 price tags, whole systems, but residential systems, not a, you know, an 18 kilowatt type setup that at a minimum you'd probably need for that building. So we don't have a plan for batteries. We don't have a funding plan for solar. If you don't have at least the solar to support that system, Don's absolutely right. You're going to spend every bit of what we anticipate saving running this building in electricity. I believe that 100%. So,
Okay, I don't think we need to dwell on that.
Yeah.
So I'll respond next week.
Yep.
Okay.
I assume New England has a report out, which I could give you the clip. So they're the entity in New Hampshire that we have to manage the grid in the New England region. And they say that within the next 8 years, 7 years, whatever it is, if we continue down the path we're going, we will be having brownouts in New Hampshire. And if we continue having more electricity, it's gonna get worse. So we can't afford to do that for an emergency building. Can't.
All right.
The fencing for the building should be up by, sorry, tell me to drink water. I should learn to shut that off. The fencing for the building should be up by the end of the week. Is that still the plan?
He's supposed to be here tomorrow,
Yeah, so that building will be fenced off. Unfortunately, nothing further than that right now, but the building will be fenced off. They'll start to put up a green construction sign, and it'll actually look like some activity by tomorrow, more than the windows being broken out.
Yeah. Right now, asbestos abatement should start, if not next week, the week after. And then his plan is whatever we're doing training wise and pulling some stuff out of that for reuse at other sites is by the 10th of April, which is the preliminary demolition start date.
Great.
You'll see also a town truck if you haven't already, because we were told to leave everything in the building that we didn't want. Now we're being told it's gonna cost more money if we do that because of the asbestos remediation. So the PD has gone back to clean some more stuff out.
Okay.
So, you're good, I think. The next, the container should be being installed. We've cleared the spot there, but I don't think it's gonna cause any issues.
Yeah.
So that should be installed also, if not the end of this week, the beginning of next. The elevator, great news, finally. I got it passed inspection yesterday. We think we have 2 things we did. We don't know what fixed it, but we're just happy it's fixed. So it passed the inspection yesterday, and they'll send us out a certificate. TV in the lobby, I don't think I mentioned this before.
I did notice.
So we had it running zoning amendments, interview, and a few other things. Kate's have it cycling through. Kate's updated it this evening to remove the zoning amendments and to add some other videos.
Great. I have it, I still have to do it.
Oh, okay.
I'll do it later.
That's all right, no rush. So, but we have the TV, we got it running, we have it playing every day now. We turn it on, turn it off at the end of the day. One night they turned it off and I'm like, who's talking? I was the only one in the building, but normally it's on and off, but it's great, it looks good, so. Historic Town Hall, we're gonna be pursuing options for cellular or wireless communicators for that building and this building to replace the copper lines. I did run it by Ben, he had no concerns about it. One of the reasons I'm pursuing it quicker for the old town hall is because the alarm system isn't communicating. I think I warned you, it went off to call. But it will sound an alarm, it just won't communicate. Right now, we can't get that. Instead of sinking the money into that, we're gonna try to do it with one of these communicators instead.
Yep.
So if you don't have any concerns, we're gonna do that for this building as well. Eventually copper lines are supposed to be going away anyway, so we'll be the guinea pig, so to speak.
Should be a savings.
Yeah, well, and their quote was, so I have to clarify if this is both buildings or not, but it's not clear on this, but it's about $1,200 to start. And then it will be a monitoring fee, but we anticipate that anyway, so. Vehicle updates, we haven't received anything yet on the fire. Just so that you're aware, they did give them permission to do the minor repairs to the sweeper, so they're gonna start that, and everything else is still on hold. So when we know more, we'll let you know.
Yeah.
The highway F550 is down until Monday. It broke during the storm. They think it's so they're down technically 2 trucks. They think it's an emissions issue
And the sidewalk plow.
and the sidewalk plow. If they have Haven't had time to fix it yet, but the throttle cable, throttle cable was broken, so. I think that's it for cars and vehicles. I already gave you the update, we'll go to other. The Pemmy Path project, we did update the MOU with the Army Corps, that's been returned and they're working on it on their end. We worked last week and were able to finalize an application for congressionally directed spending. That copy is in, it wasn't in your stuff that I sent before, but it's under TA-5, it's the CDS funding request. We did submit more than you thought, Carol, originally.
Yep. Right, yeah.
Yep, so, we submitted for approximately 1.9, that's the whole project, which includes your in-kind work.
Yeah.
And then they asked you to put a minimum request in, which was for 207. I don't know if that figure is accurate or not, that's the one that we're not sure of, but, that would be used for cleanup and testing. New Hampshire DOT bridge information. I put that also in it's number 6. I thought you'd be interested. They have 65 bridges that they have they're going to be taking off the red list and repairing. But there's still an extensive number on the red list, so. New Hampshire DOT pre-construction meeting notice is also in your packets under number 3, TA number 3, and TA, there's 2 of them. The meeting is scheduled for next March 23rd. There are some, and what this is there are some areas that they're going to be doing work along. Jeff was planning on attending. I emailed Mark, but he's been a little tied up. I think that I might attend also, just because they're talking about coming in and we want to make sure that it coincides with whatever we're doing for the Central Street projects and so on, so.
Okay.
When is that gonna be?
I
got it Thursday right here.
Yep, Thursday, March 23rd at 9:30 a.m.
Can't go.
Okay. Broadband fiber, we've been working with the tech review committee, trying to wade through documents. We scheduled a meeting, John Miller and I scheduled a meeting to talk to an engineer from UNH next Friday. We're hoping to provide us some information on maintenance and the line, because that's still up in the air. Hub 66 has offered to, apparently we have a contract that's expiring in April with PSU. Hub 66 is under the impression we're paying $9.50 a month, but my understanding is they agreed not to charge us. So Hub 66 is willing to take over the contract for a small fee. I don't know if the no charge will continue after April, so that's what we're meeting with the engineer to try and get some answers, so.
Okay.
Going back to building update, Tuesday and Wednesday this week, Tuesday we had some major issues with our server, from the server remove. I pulled Chris Carter because thank God he's here. It was 3 hours Tuesday morning before we could get some of the systems back working correctly. They didn't work correctly completely. It sounded like our server was going to blow up. By Wednesday morning I came in and it was still sounded like it was getting ready to take off. Well, the wind blinked the power, not enough to turn the generator on, but enough to shut the battery backup off. So everything went down. The temporary battery backup that we had in place, it couldn't support us.
Yeah.
So Chris and I changed Chris mostly, changed everything to the new battery backup because that's what we were waiting on, and knock on wood, all but one thing is resolved from the server remove, and that's Kate's medium closet. We're gonna try and fix the last thing that caused problems. So fingers crossed that will resolve everything.
All right. Good.
And I didn't have this on the town TA report. So Ben and I were talking today, obviously, about ARPA and funds, and realized that, hey, we didn't get our equalization ratio. We must have gotten the notice, but I'm thinking in the crossover between Joanne and I and the other assessing account, we never saw the notice. So we went in and downloaded it today. Just wanted to tell you what it is. Our median ratio for LAP 2022, which median is what we use for assessment purposes. That's what we use to match back how close we are to market value. So ours is 57.6%. Not good, but we are also not the only town going through this right now. There are some states that are in, some towns that are in better circumstances because they just did a reval. So I don't, usually if you're more than 10% off, you can risk that you're gonna get ordered to do a reval. I don't anticipate that's gonna happen. There are a lot of towns and cities that are more than 10% off right now, so.
All right.
Do you have any questions about that one?
No, I mean, it's a,
Yeah,
I mean, I would be more, like you said, I would be more concerned if it weren't happening across the region, especially.
right. I would be really concerned if it wasn't happening across the
Right.
region. But I just wanted to make sure I announced it to you. We'll get it updated on the website. We'll also get it updated on the posters that we put up around our tax rate, but it came, unfortunately, it looks like it came in January, and we just never saw the notice.
Okay.
So, last thing I have is I'm trying to create some documents to keep track, make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do as new members come on and members come off. The first thing I created was a new member checklist. I just wanted to run it by this board to make sure I'm not missing anything. I actually made it I don't know if it's in your, yes, it's under TA-4. I added something since that, but pretty much it's basic. Make sure that they've done all these things. I added an orientation because I figured some people might want to set up. I just a heads up, next week they've given them 2 laptops that are taken back to wipe. They have to wipe them clean and restore them. These 5, 6, and Rayma has 1, 7. We're somewhere between 10 and 15 that have to be wiped and restored because we can't do anything with them because they have the old admin from the old IT company. And we don't have the password, we can't change anything, we can't do anything. So we're gonna get them wiped. The thing is, I've already asked Sean, but if there's anything on your desktops or that you need, or your computers that you need, I can put it all on USB to get them off, but which I will go through and do for you, and then they're gonna come take these 5, 6, 7, I think total, and then they're supposed to have them back in time for the April 6th meeting. What I've asked them to do is set up select board 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
With passwords the same for select board. Budget committee would be budget committee 1 through 7, and all their passwords would be the same, but they can't access the select board stuff, and vice versa. And then the supervisors will be added to the domain, and they'll have their own name and password so that they can print. So 3 of them will have supervisors on them, so. You were looking like you wanted to say something.
No, you have this checklist that I got?
No, that's the new hire packet. Did you get that?
It says new select board member checklist.
See, I said something today too.
Just take it, give it back.
I'll give it back to you. All right. That's interesting. So you guys have to take harassment training, cybersecurity training.
I like your list better.
Well,
That was tough.
Here's your case, here's your
The
password.
cybersecurity training was something that Nick was pushing last time.
Right.
So maybe,
And it's not a bad idea.
No, it's not.
I think they did them all.
I was gonna say, do you want to agree to what's on your checklist?
Review personnel
Looks fine to
policy,
me.
joint law.
This one looks better, but I did add under contact info updated, I added W4I9 code of ethics. So we have a code of ethics policy.
Yes.
So I put that on for.
Is that the
new
one that
members.
wasn't adopted previously?
Well, probably.
Because I'm being told it was by,
It
it's
was.
signed,
By who?
May of 2016.
Was Wayne Anderson on
Les,
there?
Paul, Sean, Rick, and JP signed.
Right, but it wasn't renewed under the last board.
Right.
But did you
Chair.
actually, so even though you didn't make any changes to renew it, did you actually, this would stay in effect
For me,
for everyone.
for the
It's-
board,
Because stays in effect until you actually rescind it.
okay.
So even though you didn't make changes, the new
Yeah.
changes that might have been proposed, did you actually rescind it?
No, I
No.
don't think we did.
No, I think and it wasn't, I only heard through the grapevine that it wasn't adopted because the previous chair didn't want it adopted. So
So let me just make sure that's in here.
I don't
because-
know if there's language in there that says, adopted by each board, because you'd have to do that in theory every year.
Exclusions. No, it doesn't say it stays in effect till rescinded, but, so we can just get this ready and have it adopted, for you instead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can borrow this. So I have that, and then the other thing that, I just wanna make sure I didn't miss the committee before next meeting. I have, election of officers, chair, vice chair, schedule review, any changes, whether we continue first and third Thursdays. Appointments, budget committee, economic development committee, historic district commission, planning board, public safety building committee, and any other. I think that covered them.
I think that's, yeah.
Okay,
Put sidewalks on there.
Sidewalk committee?
sidewalk committee?
Yeah.
There is a
Both
highway
of
safety,
our new members mentioned it at the,
so there's supposed to be a highway safety committee, but we haven't done anything with it for years. So, and it usually is the same people that's on all your other committees.
Right. Right. Okay, selectmen items. Carol?
So just out of crazy curiosity for you guys, bill passed this week, last week, excuse me, regarding health ordinances in town. So the health officer can make regulations for prevention, removal of nuisances and other regulations pertaining to public health. The change is, and it used to take effect when the selectmen recorded by the clerk and published and posted it. It's been changed, and the driving concept behind this was mask mandates. It's been changed to say if the health officer writes a health regulation for Bristol and we want to approve it, it has to go to the legislative body at an annual or special meeting.
It went through the House, it still has to go through.
It has to just went through the House.
Switch over, but,
So,
the Health Officers Association was not, it was totally against it because now it's gonna lock your health officer from, it's not so much mask mandates, but if there's a PFAS issue in town, if there's some other issue in town, it kind of locks you from being able to.
No, I'm
to
saying
make those changes,
the
yeah.
reason the Libertarians and Republicans voted for it for the most part was the mask
Mask
mandate.
Right.
Yes.
But the health officer has no control over the mask mandate. That's the thing.
I think they were thinking like Plymouth had its own.
Yeah, but that was select board.
Yeah.
Select
So anyway,
board,
it's
select
gonna go
board
to
still
special
has the
meeting.
ability to do that though,
Yeah.
So that's it. That's all I have.
Okay, Les?
Just that we'll miss Anita and Dawn.
Oh, I forgot to do that under the TA report.
Oh, there we go.
Whoa.
So, you have to share,
Nice.
Thank you.
Sweet.
Well done.
You're sweet.
Very sweet.
I forgot to do, I had them up there, thank God I remembered.
Yeah, anything else,
I
Les?
do not.
Yeah, so I just want to piggyback on it. It's been a pleasure serving on this board this year, last year, and this year with you two. The work that we've done has been important and well done, and done even when we don't agree with each other, done with a smile on our face and the goal of helping to serve everybody in this town. So I really, really appreciate that as chair.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Don, do you have any items?
No, I'm the only one.
Carol, you want to have the-
Sure. I'd like to state how wonderful it's been this is the second set of 6 years, 12 total.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Is it 12 total? Oh my God.
Yeah, and three on the budget committee. So I'm gonna take a little bit of a break. I'm gonna miss it very much. Everybody thinks that this is such a thankless job, and they're totally wrong. Maybe in other towns it's a pain, but in Bristol, the people of Bristol are really, really good to us. You know, I mean, they'll tell you how they feel, and you'll still see them on the street and be friends. And I can't say enough about the people in Bristol. That's what makes this job enjoyable. So I'm gonna miss you guys. You're a great board. I think the people coming on you'll get along with them, and they'll be fine, and they're gonna be good people. So thank you.
Anita?
I reiterate all that you're saying and about the people of the town, and I think that so many people in the town have said to me, "Oh, are you getting done because it's so political or whatever?" And I'm like, that is the last thing in the world that it is. It's not at all because of the board. It's mainly just because it was a little bit too big a job for me. But I'm very excited to go to the library, and I need to ask to be appointed to the public safety committee, because I really want to
Yes.
stay
Yeah, right.
on that. And it's just so nice to not have it be all or nothing. I'm still gonna be involved. I've learned what I like, you know, and I think the town, my God, people do so much in this town. They really, really apply themselves, and I'd like to stay helping with that, so thank you.
So my only selectman item would be to make a motion to appoint Anita Avery to continue on the Public Safety Building Committee
Second.
until its dissolution, I guess. Seconded by Les. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Omar.
Thank
It's
you.
getting good now.
Yeah, right. Something's starting to happen.
Tom, did you have any questions or?
No, but I
Comments?
would like to publicly thank Christina. About 7 years ago, I first made a request to get copies of the board packet minus confidential
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And it was something that was always going to be done, but never happened. And I asked for her, I think it was last week,
I forgot about it. But,
and I got it this week, so
yeah.
I really
Right.
appreciate
Well
that.
done.
It helps in understanding what's going on.
Great.
I did let him know, I'm still working on some things, so this is what I have. But-
Yeah. It doesn't always,
Yeah.
it doesn't always come out the same day,
Yeah, no.
because it changes all the time.
But it shouldn't take 7 years.
No, she might.
Yeah, that's crazy. Thank you, Tom, I appreciate that. All right. Would,
Before you adjourn, I just have one quick question about your next meeting. So your next meeting is April 6th, you have an EDC work session. We also have some non-public, we have 2 departments with wages questions. So
we will hold the non-public first
first at 5 o'clock,
at 5 o'clock, and we will, what?
6 o'clock, so I think you could do half an hour for both.
Okay,
6 o'clock would be a work session with the EDC,
fine, and
7 o'clock would be a public then.
you gotta do an hour for the,
I think
Oh,
Please
EDC
help
would
me.
be,
okay.
I don't know, I can do half an hour for the EDC.
No, let's put it for 7.
It's gonna be Bill.
I can say, I probably can word it, we could do 45 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
split the difference, let's do 45 minutes.
And then,
And then we'll do the organizational at the start of at the regular meeting.
so I have election of officers, select board appointments. Oh, actually, you have 3 non-publics, so I'll split them up 20 minutes each instead, so.
All right,
We better not have any more. Okay,
If something comes up, we can add one at the end.
yep.
Anything else?
Nope, I just wanted to make sure how much time you wanted us to.
All right. Dawn, would you like to make a motion?
No.
Anita, would
I
you
don't
like to
wanna
make a
do-
motion?
I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Dawn, would you like to make a second?
I'll second it. Can I vote against it?
Yeah, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Nay.
Nay. 3-2. I don't think I've ever seen a 3-2 motion. I vote for a motion to adjourn.
Would anyone like